Okay, good day, good people. Let us look at the third part of dynamics. The third part of dynamics, it deals with energies. Yeah. Right. We deal with energy. Let us therefore define energy. Energy is the ability to do work. Its SI unit, it is J or for joules. Here's the definition of joules: is the work done when a point of a force of 1 Newton is displaced through a distance. Now that gives you the picture. Energy, it is force multiplied by distance. Then the SI unit, it is joules. Now you need to know the definition of joules. There it is, there, the definition of joules. Then we are having two types of energies that we'll be working with on our dynamic. The first one, it is potential energy, of which it is denoted as EP, is the capacity a body or object has for doing work because of its position. Now, because of what? Because of its position. Or another definition of potential energy would be it's a stored energy at a certain position. It's a stored energy at a certain position. Then the formula for potential energy, it is this one. EP equals to mass multiplied by gravitational force multiplied by height. Now that gives you the picture that if height it is zero, then your potential energy would be what? Would be zero. But if height it is great, then you will have what? The maximum potential energy. Hence, at the highest point or top of the incline, the EP is at its maximum. Then we are having another type of energy. It is called kinetic energy. It is denoted as EK. This one EP for potential energy, then this one E energy for kinetic energy. Is the capacity a body has, capacity a body has for doing work because of its motion. Now this one, it gives you the picture that it has to do with what? With movement. Kinetic energy has to do with what? With movement. You are actually applying energy to move, by the way, from point A to point B. Now the formula for kinetic energy, it is EK equals to half multiplied by mass, M for mass, V for velocity multiplied by velocity. It is half multiplied by mass multiplied by velocity. Hence, at the foot or bottom of the incline, it is at its maximum. Now remember, when we were dealing with vertical motion, the fact that we dealt vertical projection and the horizontal projection, we set the initial velocity at the foot of the incline or at the hands of the thrower. Do you still remember that? We set the initial velocity at the hand of the thrower. It is what? It is maximum. Now U here, it is what? It is maximum. That's what we said. Do you still remember? We said U, it is maximum. Now same thing when coming to energy, we are applying the same principle. V here, it is at its maximum. Now initial velocity, it is at its maximum. We'll be using that principle. Now hence, at the foot or bottom of the incline, it is at its maximum energy, EK maximum energy. Where? Here at the bottom, it is maximum. Then EP here at the bottom equals to 0 because there's no height. EP equals to 0. Then as the stone leaves the thrower's hand, you can tell that the EP, it's gaining what? It's gaining. EP, it is gaining. Then EP there, it is maximum. EP there, it is what? It is maximum. EP there on top, it will be max. Then EK there on top, it is 0. EK equals to 0. EK equals to 0. Why is EK equals to 0? Remember we said it that the stone, as it leaves your hand, it is at its maximum. Then V there on top would be what? Would be 0. Now 0 multiplied by mass multiply, it will give you what? It will give you 0. Now EK at the top of the incline equals to 0. EP at the top of the incline, or the greatest height, it is maximum. Then EK, it is 0. Then at the bottom, EP equals to 0. There's no height. Then EK, it is maximum. It is maximum. Now these energies, this type of energies, they are governed by the law of conservation of energy. They are governed by the law of conservation of energy. And the law of conservation of energy says you cannot destroy or create energy, but you can transfer it to another form. Now let's give you a picture. What do they mean? You can't destroy it, you can't create it, but you can only transfer it or convert it. You are having the stone at the foot of the incline, or at the thrower's hand. Then you are having, then the thrower throw the stone, then the stone comes back to the ground or to the thrower's hand. Now let's make sense of the law of conservation of energy. We said it that EK here, it is maximum. EK, it is maximum. Now I'll just write M there to indicate that maximum. Now when the stone leaves the thrower's hand, when the stone leaves the thrower's hand, you'd realize that the EK, it will lose its energy, while EP gains what? Energy. While EP gains what? Gains energy. Then there, EP, it is maximum. I will write M to indicate that maximum. Then EK there on top, it is what? It is 0. Then EK would be 0. Now we didn't destroy, we didn't create, we only transferred the EK, because the EP here, it is 0 at the top of the bottom of the incline. The EP, it is 0. The only thing that we did, as the stone was leaving the thrower's hand, the EP was losing energy, while the EK gains what? Gains energy. We didn't destroy, we didn't create, we only transferred the EK to be what? To be the EP. And as the stone moves from the greatest height to the lowest height, you can tell that the process begins again, or it continues. The EP, it loses energy, while the EK gains energy. That's what they mean by this law. Now hence we are having EK equals to your EP. EK equals to your EP. Now this gives you the picture that you can calculate EP with everything that has to do with what? With EK. You can calculate everything that has to do with EP in calculating EK, or you can calculate EK with everything that has to do with EP. You can calculate EP with everything that has to do with what? With EK. Meaning energy gain equals to energy loss. Energy loss equals to energy gain. This is what we mean by the law of conservation of energy. That gives you the picture that EK equals to EP, because you can't destroy, you can't create, you can only transfer EP to be EK. You can transfer EK to be what? To be EP. That's what they mean by that. You can transfer EK to be EP. You can transfer EP to be EK. You can't destroy, no. You can't destroy nor create, but you can only transform or transfer it into another form. Now, what is the formula of EK? It is half mass v squared equals to mgh. Now we will be using this formula in other instances where they want us to calculate a velocity. This is the formula that we will be calculating. We will be cooperating the two, ek equals to ep, in calculating the v. The mass and the mass will cancel out. Then you will have v squared equals to 2gh v squared. Now we will be using this formula more especially if they want us to calculate what? To calculate the velocity. Now, if we are given the scenario, that scenario of a car moving from the top of the incline to the bottom of the incline and vice versa, or if we are given the energy loss and the energy gain, then they want us to calculate the volume, then this is the formula that we'll be using to calculate the volume. Now on the third part of hydraulics, sorry, not hydraulics, on the third part of dynamics, this is what we'll be actually calculating. Now let us look at the interpretation. Let us look at the interpretation of the incline, because if you don't understand the interpretation of the incline, you will have a problem on more especially on applying the law of conservation of what? Of energy. At the same time, I don't want to make this video to be long, yeah, but let's look at the interpretation of the incline. How do we interpret the incline? Now let's say you are given an incline. You are told that the car is on top of the incline. This is the car. Now I'm now showing you how to interpret the slope. On the previous videos, we did indicate to you how to convert the percentage into degrees and the fractionals into degrees and so forth. But here I'm teaching you how to interpret the slope properly, so yeah, because now we'll have to do with a potential energy. In calculating potential energy, we know that we want height in calculating the potential energy. Let's say you are having the stone on top of the incline. What is it that we know? We know that EP here, EP it is maximum, then EK it is maximum, then EK on top it is 0, then EP at the bottom it is what? It is 0. That we know. Now let's say you are given the slope. They are saying your slope equals to 1 is to 5. This is your slope, or rather let's write it's 1 over 5. Yeah, you are given the slope. Then from point A, let's make the foot of the incline A and make the top of the incline B. You are told that the displacement from A to B, it is 50 meters. It is 50 meters. Then they want you to calculate the maximum height. They want you to, or rather they want you to calculate EP, potential energy. They want you to calculate EP. Yeah, they want you to calculate EP. Now in calculating the EP, let's say you are given the mass here. Let's say they are saying the mass of that stone, it is 5 kg. It is 5 kg. Yeah? You are given 5 kg. Now I know that the formula for EP equals to mass multiplied by gravity multiplied by height. Now we don't have a height. We can't say our height it is 1 because of the slope. 1 is to 5. 1 is to 5. We can't say that. We can't say our height it is what? It is 5. We therefore have to calculate what? Height. How do we then calculate height? In calculating the height, we are having a slope. Remember, sine theta. Sine theta equals to 1 is to 5. That we know. Yeah? But we know that sine it is opposite over hypotenuse. Sine it is opposite over hypotenuse. We are having opposite, we are having height over hypotenuse. We are having opposite, let's write O there. We know that we are looking for O, opposite over hypotenuse, H. Then we are looking for O. Then it will be O equals to, when you cross multiply, it will be O multiplied by 5, and there it will be O multiplied by 5 multiplied by H. When we are cross multiplying, then we'll have H, hypotenuse. We are looking forward for O. Then O would be H divided by 5. Then we are having our H, it is hypotenuse. Remember, H, it is our hypotenuse, and it is what? It is 50 divided by 5. Then you get your height there. Then you will get your height. Now, where's my calculator? Then you will get your height. Then your height in this case would be what? 25, ne? 50 divided by 5. Oh, it is 10. Oh, I'm crazy. 10. Then we manage to calculate our height. Then we can use our height to calculate the EP. Now it will be 5 for mass, the mass of that stone, multiplied by gravitational 9,8, multiplied by 10, the height. We managed to calculate the height. Then our answer would be 10 multiplied by 9,8 multiplied by 5. Then we get 490. We get 490 joules. 90 joules. Now, 90 joules. Now, please, when given the slope like this, when given the slope 1:5, don't assume and say 5 it is what? It is your height, or 1 it is your height. Don't assume, because your slope is 1:5. 1:5. 1:5. Now let's interpret it. Let's make sense out of it. They are simply saying for every 5 meter, né? For every 5 meter, the height there it is 1. Now the question is, how many times does 5 goes into 50? It goes 10 times. It means I'm having 10 meter height, because I'm having 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50. Now when you count this 5 meters that the stone would have rolled, 5 it's 1, another 5 it is 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 1. Now when you count all these ones, they are equal to what? To 10. That's how you interpret the slope. For every 5 meter, I'm having what? I'm having 1 meter height. Now then the distance from A to B, it is what? It is 50. Then you have to say, in short, you have to say my height would be, in short, this is a short route of calculating the height. It will be the displacement, that 50 divided by 5. Then you somewhere get what? 10 meters. Then you know that my height, it is what? It is 10 meters. Now I've used this one, the shortest route of it, it is from the interpretation of the slope. For every 5 meter that you would travel on the slope, the height it is 1. Now I'm having 50 meters to travel. Now 50 meters to travel, it makes what? The height to be what? To be 10. Because 5 goes what? 10 times on what? In your 50. That means my height would be what? Would be 10. That is the interpretation of what? Of your slope. That's how you interpret your slope. I will be dropping examples on the third part of your energy regarding the slope and so forth. Thank you, good people.